The starship hung in the void like a ghost, its angular silhouette barely visible against the backdrop of distant stars. For 30 years, the ESS Defiant had drifted along the outer reaches of Alliance space, a silent relic of a bygone era. The ship's reputation preceded it, a vessel that had destroyed every boarding party that attempted to claim it, rejecting all who came near. Some called it cursed, others a tomb. The more superstitious spacers named it the Phantom Ship, a haunted vessel carrying the vengeful spirits of its long-dead crew. Captain Trell stood on the observation deck of the Lucky Find, a salvage vessel that had answered a distress call from the Alliance Frontier Command. Through the reinforced viewport, he studied the mysterious ship with a mixture of apprehension and avarice. The Defiant was a massive vessel, its hull adorned with scorch marks and impact craters, testaments to both its violent past and the numerous failed attempts to board it. "Captain, you wanted to see me?" Trell turned to face his second-in-command, Vex, a tall Ceridian, whose blue-tinged skin contrasted sharply with the harsh lighting of the observation deck. "Yes. What's the latest from Alliance Command?" Vex handed over a datapad. "They've authorized a reconnaissance mission. We're to assess the viability of salvage operations and report back. Standard procedure." Trell snorted. "There's nothing standard about that ship. Vex, do you know how many crews have tried to board it over the last 3 decades? 17, according to official records. And 17 crews that never returned." Trell's eyes narrowed as he studied the enigmatic vessel. "What makes the Alliance think we'll fare any better?" "Perhaps this?" Vex activated a small, holographic projector that displayed a series of flashing lights. This signal began broadcasting from the Defiant 72 hours ago. "It's what prompted the Alliance to call us in." Trell leaned forward, watching the pattern of lights with growing curiosity. "What am I looking at?" "We weren't sure at first. It's an ancient form of communication. We had to bring in a specialist." As if on cue, the door to the observation deck slid open, and a small, hunched figure entered. The newcomer was Mulla, a xenolinguist who specialized in extinct communication methods. "Captain Trell," Mulla greeted, their multifaceted eyes reflecting the starlight from the viewport. "I've completed my analysis of the signal. And it's Morse code, Captain, a primitive Earth communication method that predates interstellar travel." Trell's eyebrows rose. "Earth? That's impossible. Earth technology was outlawed after the Stellar Wars. The Defiant can't be an Earth vessel." "And yet," Mulla replied, gesturing to the flashing pattern, "the message is unmistakable. ESS Defiant requests human assistance." Silence fell over the observation deck as the implications sank in. The ship that had drifted silently for 3 decades, destroying all who approached, was now requesting help. Specifically, human help. "This changes everything," Trell murmured. "If the Defiant is indeed of Earth origin, then it's the most significant archaeological find in generations," Vex finished. "But there's one problem, Captain." "Humans," Trell said, the word carrying the weight of centuries of conflict and fear. "The Alliance has strict regulations about Earth technology, and humans themselves are rare," Mulla supplied. "After the Stellar Wars, the survivors scattered, most integrated into other societies, hiding their heritage." Trell's mind raced with possibilities. If the Defiant was an Earth vessel, it could contain technologies long thought lost, technologies that the Alliance had spent decades suppressing out of fear of their destructive potential. Such a find could make him wealthy beyond imagination. But first, they needed to board the ship, and for that, they needed something that hadn't existed in Alliance space for generations: a human. "Contact Alliance Command," Trell ordered. "Tell them we need a human to access the Defiant." Vex hesitated. "Captain, requesting a human for this mission will raise flags at the highest levels. The Alliance Council will want to know why." "Then tell them the truth," Trell replied with a shrug. The ship is asking for one. As Vex departed to relay the message, Trell turned back to the viewport, studying the silent vessel with newfound interest. Somewhere out there, among the countless worlds of the Alliance, a human would have to be found, one who could unlock the secrets of the Defiant, and perhaps change the course of history. The desolate landscape of Verita 4 stretched endlessly before Jack as he made his way back to the mining settlement. The harsh, rust-colored terrain was broken only by the occasional outcropping of jagged rock and the distant silhouette of industrial machinery. A fine red dust hung in the air, partially obscuring the weak light of the system's distant sun. Jack adjusted the filtration mask covering the lower half of his face and checked the atmospheric readings on his wrist device. The methane levels were climbing again. Soon, the warning sirens would sound, forcing everyone into the pressurized habitation domes until the deadly gas dispersed. Just another day on this forsaken rock. As a mechanic for the Viridia Mining Corporation, Jack had spent the last 7 years maintaining the massive excavators that tore into the planet's crust, extracting the rare minerals that made this hellscape valuable to the Alliance. It was backbreaking work, dangerous and thankless. But it came with one crucial advantage. No one asked questions about his past. The settlement came into view, a collection of prefabricated structures and hastily erected domes that housed nearly 3,000 workers from across Alliance space. Jack quickened his pace as the first warning chime sounded, indicating rising methane levels. He had just reached the airlock of Habitation Dome 7 when his communicator buzzed, an unusual occurrence that immediately put him on edge. Mechanic J-17, report to administration immediately, a mechanical voice announced. Priority Alpha. Jack froze. In 7 years, he had never received a Priority Alpha summons. Such notices typically preceded Alliance inspections or, worse, security investigations. Had they finally discovered what he really was? With a deep breath, Jack changed direction, heading toward the Central Administration Building. The structure stood apart from the other facilities, its gleaming surfaces a stark contrast to the utilitarian design of the rest of the settlement. As he approached, he noticed 2 figures standing outside, corporate security, their uniforms immaculate despite the perpetual dust. Mechanic J-17, one of them asked as Jack approached. That's me. This way, the guard said, gesturing toward the entrance. Director Palix is waiting. Jack was led through a series of corridors to a spacious office where Director Palix, a portly Centaurian with 4 arms and brilliantly colored plumage, sat behind an ornate desk. But it was the third person in the room that caught Jack's attention. A tall, imposing figure, wearing the distinctive uniform of an Alliance fleet commander. Mechanic J-17, Palix began, his voice betraying a hint of nervousness. This is Commander Larn of the Alliance Strategic Fleet. He has some questions for you. Larn stepped forward, his cold, calculating eyes studying Jack with unsettling intensity. Your real name is Jack Thorne, is it not? Jack felt his heart rate spike, but years of hiding his true nature had made him adept at concealing his emotions. I go by J-17 here, as per company protocol. Let's dispense with the pretense, Larn said, his voice like ice. We know what you are, Thorne. Or should I say, who you are. Jack remained silent, mentally calculating his options. The habitation dome had 4 exits, but security would have them covered. The maintenance tunnels were a possibility, but reaching them would be difficult. You're human, Larn continued, the word hanging in the air like an accusation. A descendant of Earth. For several heartbeats, no one spoke. Then, Jack let out a short, mirthless laugh. If that were true, Commander, I'd have been processed and registered under the Ancestral Heritage Act. As you can see from my file, I'm classified as a near-identical, with genetic similarities to several humanoid species. A clever deception, Larn admitted. Facilitated by falsified records and, I suspect, the complicity of certain officials who have since been removed from service. Jack's fingers twitched, an almost imperceptible movement as he prepared for a confrontation. What do you want from me? Your cooperation. Nothing more. Larn activated a holographic projector on Palix's desk, and an image of a starship materialized between them. Do you recognize this vessel? Jack studied the hologram, genuine surprise momentarily overtaking his caution. The ship was massive, its design unlike anything in the current Alliance fleet. Its hull bore the scars of numerous engagements, yet it maintained an undeniable elegance, the hallmark of Earth engineering. Should I? Jack asked, feigning indifference. This is the ESS Defiant, an Earth starship that has been drifting in the outer reaches of Alliance space for the past 30 years. Larn explained. 3 days ago, it began broadcasting a message in Morse code, an ancient Earth communication method. The message requests human assistance. Jack's mind raced. An Earth vessel, intact after all these years? It seemed impossible. After the Stellar Wars, the Alliance had hunted down and destroyed every piece of Earth technology they could find, fearful of its destructive potential. The humans themselves were scattered, forced to hide their heritage or face processing, a euphemism for the genetic modifications that stripped away what the Alliance deemed dangerous traits. And you think I can help because you're human, Larn stated flatly. And, according to our intelligence, one of the few pure-blooded humans left in this sector. The ship is rejecting all non-human contact. We need you to board it and secure its systems for Alliance inspection. Jack laughed again, this time with genuine amusement. And why would I help the Alliance gain access to a ship that clearly doesn't want your kind aboard? Because the alternative is immediate processing under the Genetic Purity Act, Larn replied coldly. Your status as a near-identical would be revoked, and you would face full reconfiguration. The threat hung in the air between them. Reconfiguration was tantamount to death, a complete rewriting of genetic code that left nothing of the original person behind. And if I help? Jack asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Full immunity from processing, and a significant reduction in your current work contract, Larn offered. You would be free to continue your life here, under minimal surveillance. Jack weighed his options. Refusal meant certain death, or worse. Cooperation meant a chance to see an actual Earth vessel, perhaps the last of its kind. And maybe, just maybe, an opportunity to learn something about his own heritage, which had been systematically erased from Alliance records. When do we leave? Jack asked, making his decision. Immediately, Larn replied with a thin smile. Pack only essentials. A transport is waiting. As Jack was escorted from the office, his mind churned with possibilities. The Alliance wanted him to be their key to unlocking an Earth vessel. Little did they know, they might be giving him access to the very thing that could change his fate. And perhaps, the fate of all surviving humans in Alliance space. The lucky find was a salvage vessel, designed for extended operations in the outer reaches of Alliance territory. Its utilitarian interior reflected its purpose: function over comfort, efficiency over aesthetics. Jack was led through narrow corridors lined with exposed conduits and junction boxes to a small briefing room where Captain Trell awaited. Trell was a surprise. Unlike the stern, militaristic demeanor of Commander Larn, the salvage captain exuded a casual confidence that spoke of years navigating the fringes of Alliance space. His weather-beaten face crinkled into a smile as Jack entered, though the warmth didn't quite reach his eyes. So you're the human, Trell remarked, studying Jack with undisguised curiosity. You don't look much different from the rest of us. That's the point, Jack replied tersely. Makes it easier to blend in. Trell chuckled. Fair enough. I'm Captain Trell. This is my ship, And for the duration of this mission, you'll be under my command. Commander Larn may represent Alliance interests, but in space, a captain's word is law. Jack nodded, appreciating the directness. What exactly am I supposed to do once we reach the Defiant? Trell activated a holographic display showing the mysterious vessel. Our primary objective is to gain access to the ship's systems and secure it for Alliance inspection. 17 previous attempts have ended poorly. The ship's automated defense systems activate whenever non-human life forms attempt to board.
And you think it will let me in because I'm human?
That's the working theory, based on the message it's broadcasting. Trell manipulated the display, zooming in on various sections of the ship. The Defiant is an Earth vessel, likely from before the Stellar Wars. Its technology could be problematic for the Alliance. Jack caught the hesitation in Trell's voice. Problematic how? Earth tech was banned for a reason, Trell said with a shrug. Too advanced, too dangerous. The kind of technology that could upset the balance of power in the Alliance. Or reveal truths the Alliance would rather keep buried, Jack suggested, watching carefully for Trell's reaction. The captain's expression remained neutral, but a flicker of something, interest, perhaps, passed through his eyes. Our job is salvage, not politics. We get in. We secure the ship. We get paid. Simple. Nothing about this is simple, Jack countered. An Earthship has survived 3 decades of Alliance purges, and now it's asking specifically for human help. Doesn't that strike you as significant? Significant enough for the Alliance to authorize this mission, Trell conceded. But my concerns are practical. I need to know if you can interface with Earth systems once we're aboard. Can you? Jack hesitated. The truth was, he knew more about Earth technology than he was comfortable admitting. His knowledge was part of his heritage, passed down through generations of survivors living on the fringes of Alliance space. But revealing that knowledge could mark him as more than just a genetic anomaly. It could identify him as a keeper of forbidden knowledge. I'll manage, he said finally. Trell seemed satisfied with the answer. Good. We'll reach the Defiant in approximately 48 hours. Until then, get familiar with the ship and the mission parameters. Vex will show you to your quarters. As Jack turned to leave, Trell added, One more thing, human. Commander Larn isn't the only Alliance representative on board. General Zolt arrived shortly before you. He commands the military escort accompanying us. Jack's blood ran cold. General Zolt was notorious among the hidden human communities, a zealous military leader responsible for some of the most aggressive processing campaigns in recent Alliance history. His presence suggested that this mission was far more significant than a simple salvage operation. Why would the Alliance send a general to recover a derelict ship? Jack asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Insurance, Trell replied, his tone neutral. The Alliance takes Earth technology very seriously. General Zolt is here to ensure that anything we find is properly contained. Destroyed, Jack mentally translated. The general wasn't here to salvage the Defiant. He was here to ensure nothing from it threatened Alliance control. Understood, Jack said, his resolve hardening. Whatever secrets the Defiant held, he couldn't allow them to fall into Zolt's hands. For the first time in years, he felt a connection to his hidden heritage, a responsibility to protect what might be the last intact piece of Earth history. As Vex led him through the corridors of the Lucky Find, Jack began mentally preparing for what lay ahead. In 48 hours, he would board an Earth vessel, a ship that had survived decades of Alliance attempts to eradicate all traces of human technological achievement. Whatever awaited him aboard the Defiant, he was determined to face it on his own terms, not as a tool of the Alliance. And if the opportunity presented itself to learn the truth about Earth's fate, the real truth, not the sanitized version taught in Alliance education centers, he would seize it, regardless of the consequences. The journey to the Defiant's position passed in a tense blur of preparation and speculation. Jack spent most of his time in the small quarters assigned to him, avoiding the curious stares of the Lucky Find's crew and the cold scrutiny of the Alliance military personnel. He used the solitude to center himself, drawing on meditation techniques passed down through generations of his family, techniques designed to enhance focus and control physiological responses that might betray his true nature. On the second day, as they approached the coordinates where the Defiant drifted, Jack was summoned to the bridge. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as he entered. Captain Trell stood at the command console, flanked by Vex and several members of his crew. Commander Larn occupied a position near the tactical display, engaged in what appeared to be a heated discussion with an imposing figure in full Alliance military regalia, General Zult. Zult cut an intimidating figure, tall and rigid, with the enhanced physiology typical of the Alliance military elite. His eyes, cold and calculating, fixed on Jack as he entered. "This is the human?" Zult asked, his voice carrying the distinctive harmonic undertones of someone who had undergone extensive genetic optimization. "Jack Thorne," Larn confirmed. "As you requested, General." Zult circled Jack, studying him with undisguised contempt.
It doesn't look like much.
"I'm standing right here," Jack said evenly, meeting the general's gaze.
So you are,
Zult replied, with a thin smile.
and soon you'll be standing on that.
He gestured toward the main viewport, where the Defiant had finally come into view. The sight momentarily robbed Jack of words. The Defiant was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Lucky Find. Its design was unlike anything in the current Alliance fleet, sleek yet formidable, with smooth curves giving way to angular sections that suggested both speed and power. Despite decades of drifting, its hull maintained a distinctive luster, a testament to the advanced materials used in its construction. "Impressive, isn't it?" Trell remarked, joining Jack at the viewport. Earthships were said to be technological marvels. This one certainly lives up to the reputation.
It's in remarkable condition for a derelict,
Jack observed, noting the minimal damage visible on the exterior. "You said 17 boarding parties have tried to access it?" "And 17 boarding parties were destroyed," Zult interjected. "The ship's defensive systems remain active after all these years. Quite remarkable, considering that Alliance regulations require all vessels to incorporate power degradation protocols to prevent exactly this scenario." "Earth engineers clearly had different priorities," Larn noted, studying the tactical display. "The ship continues to broadcast its message on a repeating cycle. No changes in the pattern since we first detected it." Jack stared at the mysterious vessel, feeling an inexplicable connection to it. This was a piece of his heritage, a relic of the civilization that the Alliance had systematically erased from history. And somehow, it had survived. "What's the plan?" he asked, turning to Trell. "We'll approach using a single shuttle," the captain explained. "Minimal crew, you, myself, and 2 of my engineers. Commander Larn will monitor from the Lucky Find, while General Zult coordinates the military response if things go poorly." "Military response?" Jack frowned. "You mean if the ship attacks? Or if what we find aboard poses a threat to Alliance security?" Zult said flatly. "Make no mistake, human. My vessels are equipped with enough firepower to reduce that ship to atoms if necessary. Your task is to ensure such measures aren't required." Jack understood the unspoken threat. He was expendable, a tool to be used and discarded once his usefulness ended. But the opportunity to board an Earth vessel, to touch a piece of the past that had been denied to him, was worth the risk. "When do we leave?" he asked. "Immediately," Trell replied. "The shuttle is prepped and waiting." As the others filed out, General Zult caught Jack's arm, his enhanced strength making the grip painfully tight. "A word of advice, human. I've spent my career ensuring that Earth's dangerous legacy remains buried. If you find anything aboard that ship that could threaten Alliance stability, you will report it immediately. Failure to do so will have consequences. Jack met the general's gaze unflinchingly. I understand my role, General. Do you understand yours? Zolt's eyes narrowed. Meaning? Meaning that ship has survived 30 years of Alliance attempts to neutralize it. Whatever's aboard is clearly beyond your comprehension. Perhaps a little humility might be in order. The general's grip tightened briefly before releasing. Proceed with your mission, human. But remember, my ships are watching. Always watching. As Jack followed Trell toward the shuttle bay, he couldn't shake the sense that he was being drawn into something far larger than a simple salvage operation. The Defiant wasn't just a derelict. It was a survivor, a vessel that had endured decades of isolation and hostility. And now, for reasons yet unknown, it was calling for human assistance. Whatever awaited him aboard that ship, Jack was determined to protect it from Zolt's destructive intentions. The Defiant represented more than just advanced technology. It was perhaps the last intact piece of human heritage in Alliance space. And Jack would die before he allowed it to be destroyed. The shuttle detached from the lucky find with a gentle shudder, its thrusters igniting briefly to set it on a course toward the enigmatic Earth vessel. Jack sat in the co-pilot seat beside Captain Trell, studying the Defiant's looming silhouette as it grew larger in the viewport. Behind them, two of Trell's engineers, Krav and Lena, monitored the shuttle systems in tense silence. Approaching optimal docking range, Trell announced, his hands moving confidently over the controls. Initiating standard hailing procedures. A series of tones echoed through the shuttle's communication system, a universal docking request used throughout Alliance space. Seconds ticked by with no response from the Defiant. Try the Morse code, Jack suggested. If it's been broadcasting in that format, it might respond to the same. Trell nodded and adjusted the communication array. What should we transmit? Keep it simple, Jack replied, recalling the ancient communication method from his family's oral histories. Just identify us and state our intention to dock. The captain input the message, and a series of short and long pulses emanated from the shuttle. Almost immediately, a section of the Defiant's hull began to illuminate, panels lighting up in sequence along its midsection. It's responding, Lena breathed, leaning forward to better view the display. Look at that! The outer docking ring is activating. Indeed, a circular structure on the Defiant's hull was now visible, its perimeter marked by a series of blue lights that pulsed in a rhythmic pattern. Docking coordinates received, Trell confirmed, a note of surprise in his voice. It's guiding us in. The shuttle approached the illuminated section, and as they drew closer, a massive door began to slide open, revealing a cavernous docking bay within. The space was dark, illuminated only by emergency lighting that cast long shadows across what appeared to be a maintenance area designed to accommodate multiple smaller vessels. Lucky find. This is Trell, the captain reported. The Defiant has opened its docking bay and provided coordinates. We're proceeding with caution. Understood, Captain. Commander Larn's voice crackled through the comm. General Zolt advises extreme caution. The previous boarding parties reported initial cooperative responses before the defense systems activated. Acknowledged, Trell replied, guiding the shuttle through the massive doorway and into the Defiant's interior. We'll maintain constant communication. As the shuttle settled onto the docking bay floor with a gentle thud, Jack studied their surroundings through the viewport. The bay was remarkably well preserved, showing none of the deterioration one might expect after 30 years of abandonment. Multiple maintenance stations lined the walls, their equipment still secured in their respective positions. What struck Jack most, however, was the design, elegant yet functional, with an attention to detail that spoke of an advanced civilization that valued both form and purpose. Atmosphere readings? Trell asked, turning to Krav. The engineer studied his instruments. Breathable, Captain. Oxygen levels at 22%. Nitrogen at 77%. Trace gases within acceptable parameters. Temperature is slightly below standard, but well within tolerance. No signs of defensive systems activating? Jack asked, still wary of the ship's reputation. Nothing yet, Lena replied, checking her scanner. Energy readings are stable. The ship seems to be in a dormant state, except for the systems directly involved in our docking procedure. Trell reached for his environment suit. We proceed as planned. Full suits until we're certain the atmosphere readings are consistent throughout the ship. Weapons on stun only. We're here to salvage, not provoke. As the group prepared to disembark, Jack felt a strange sense of anticipation building within him. He was about to step foot on an Earth vessel, a piece of the heritage that had been systematically erased from Alliance history. Whatever secrets the Defiant held, he was determined to discover them before Zolt could order the ship's destruction. The shuttle's airlock cycled open, and Jack was the first to step onto the deck of the Defiant. The metal floor beneath his boots was solid, showing none of the degradation typical of abandoned vessels. As the others joined him, their helmet lights swept across the vast docking bay, revealing more details of the impressive space.
Look at this place,
Krav whispered, his voice filled with awe. The technology here must be centuries ahead of current Alliance standards. Focus on the mission, Trell reminded them. We need to find the bridge or a primary control center. Jack moved toward a terminal near what appeared to be a maintenance station. The screen was dark, but as he approached, it flickered to life, displaying a series of symbols that he recognized as an ancient Earth language, English. I think it's scanning us, Jack said, noticing a faint blue light emanating from above the terminal. Before anyone could respond, a harsh alarm blared throughout the docking bay. Red warning lights began flashing, and a mechanical voice echoed through the space. Warning, non-human biological entities detected. Defense protocols initiated. You have 30 seconds to return to your vessel. Back to the shuttle, Trell shouted, already moving. Now! Krav and Lena didn't need to be told twice. Sprinting back toward the airlock, Jack, however, remained rooted in place, staring at the terminal as new text appeared on the screen. Human biological signature detected. Identity confirmation required.
Jack,
Trell called from the shuttle's doorway.
What are you doing? We need to leave.
It's recognizing me, Jack replied, an idea forming. The ship is responding to my human DNA. If I stay, I might be able to deactivate the defense systems. And if you're wrong, you'll die with the rest of us, Trell argued. 20 seconds. Jack, make your choice. Jack made his decision in an instant. Get back to the Lucky Find. Tell them I'm staying to attempt communication with the ship's systems.
That's not the plan,
Trell protested. The plan changed when the ship started scanning our biology, Jack replied firmly. Go. I'll contact you when I've secured the ship. Trell hesitated for a brief moment before nodding reluctantly. Your call. But if we don't hear from you within 1 hour, Zolt will likely order the Defiant destroyed. Then I'd better work fast, Jack said, turning back to the terminal as Trell retreated to the shuttle. The countdown continued, and Jack watched as the shuttle hastily disengaged from the docking clamps and maneuvered toward the bay doors, which remained open just long enough for it to escape. Once the shuttle was clear, the massive doors slid shut with a resounding thud that echoed throughout the docking bay. The alarms ceased, leaving Jack in relative silence, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's systems. The terminal before him displayed a new message. Human identity confirmed. Welcome aboard the Earth. Stellar ship Defiant. Please proceed to the Central Command Center for further instructions. Jack removed his helmet, taking his first unfiltered breath of the ship's air. It was clean, with a slight metallic tang that suggested sophisticated filtration systems. As he stood there, alone on the deck of the last Earth ship in existence, a sense of profound connection washed over him. This vessel was part of his heritage, a relic of the civilization that had been his ancestors' home. And now, it was up to him to discover why. After 30 years of silence, the Defiant had called for human assistance. The corridors of the Defiant were a study in elegant efficiency, unlike the utilitarian designs favored by the Alliance, with their exposed conduits and harsh lighting. The Earth vessel's interior featured smooth, flowing lines and recessed lighting that created a surprisingly comfortable atmosphere. As Jack made his way deeper into the ship, following the illuminated path that appeared before him, he couldn't help but marvel at the advanced design sensibilities of his ancestors. "Ship," Jack called out, testing a theory. "Can you hear me?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a soft feminine voice responded from hidden speakers. "Yes, I can hear you. Welcome aboard, human. You may call me Arya." Jack stopped, surprised by the response. "Arya, you're an AI?" "I am the Artificial Reasoning Yield Algorithm." "Yes." The acronym ARYA was given a feminine persona by my creators for ease of interaction. I manage all systems aboard the ESS Defiant. An active AI after 30 years? The implications were staggering. Alliance propaganda claimed that Earth AIs had been dangerous, unpredictable entities that contributed to the devastation of the stellar wars. Yet, here was one, functioning perfectly after decades of isolation. "Arya, why did you broadcast a distress signal after all this time?" Jack asked, continuing down the corridor as they spoke. "I detected an increase in Alliance activity in this sector," Arya replied. "Analysis indicated a 97% probability that the Defiant would be targeted for destructive salvage within the next 6 months. Action was required to preserve the ship and its contents." "And you specifically requested human assistance," Jack noted. "Why?" "The Defiant was created by humans, for humans. Its primary mission can only be fulfilled by a human operator. The defense systems are designed to prevent non-human entities from accessing sensitive areas and technologies." Jack processed this information as he reached what appeared to be a turbolift. The doors slid open silently, inviting him inside. "Where are you taking me, Arya?" "To the bridge. There is much to explain, and little time. Your companions will undoubtedly report your decision to remain aboard. Alliance protocols regarding Earth technology are quite clear. They will attempt to destroy this vessel, rather than allow its technologies to be studied." As the turbolift ascended rapidly through the ship, Jack considered his situation. He was alone on an ancient Earth vessel, guided by an AI that had somehow remained functional for 30 years. Outside, an Alliance military detachment led by the zealous General Zolt was likely already preparing for the Defiant's destruction. And yet, despite the danger, Jack felt an undeniable sense of rightness, as if his entire life had been leading to this moment. The turbolift doors opened, revealing the bridge of the Defiant. Unlike the cramped command centers of Alliance vessels, the Earthship's bridge was spacious and ergonomically designed. Workstations curved along the perimeter, while a central command chair faced a massive view screen, currently displaying the Lucky Find and its military escort at a safe distance. "They're maintaining position," Jack observed, studying the display. "Probably waiting for Trell's report before deciding on a course of action. Their weapons are powered, but not yet targeting the Defiant," Arya confirmed. "We have approximately 43 minutes before General Zolt likely orders an attack, based on his historical behavior patterns and Alliance protocols regarding Earth technology." Jack turned, scanning the bridge for the source of Arya's voice. "You know about Zolt?" A holographic figure materialized near the command chair, a woman with features that suggested a blend of Earth's diverse ethnicities. She was dressed in what appeared to be an Earth military uniform, with insignia that Jack didn't recognize. "I have been monitoring Alliance communications since the Defiant systems reactivated 30 years ago," Arya explained, her holographic form gesturing toward the command chair. "Please, sit. There is much to show you, and our time is limited." Jack approached the chair cautiously, noting the advanced interfaces built into the armrests. As he sat, the chair adjusted to his physiology, and several displays activated around him, showing ship status, external sensors, and what appeared to be a historical database. The Defiant was not always a ghost ship, Arya began, her holographic form moving to stand beside the command chair. It was once the flagship of Earth's scientific exploration fleet, designed to seek out new worlds suitable for colonization. Its secondary mission, however, was preservation. Preservation of what? Jack asked, watching as historical images began to play across one of the displays. Scenes of Earth, its cities, its natural wonders, its people. Everything, Arya replied simply. Earth culture, history, scientific knowledge, artistic achievements. The Defiant contains the most complete archive of human civilization ever compiled. What my creators called the legacy. When the Stellar Wars began, the Defiant was repurposed as an ark, meant to preserve humanity's achievements regardless of the outcome of the conflict. Jack stared at the images scrolling before him, a lump forming in his throat. Here was the heritage that had been denied to him and all survivors of Earth, the true history of his people. Not the sanitized, villainous caricature presented in Alliance education centers. The Alliance claims Earth started the Stellar Wars, Jack said, turning to the hologram. That humans developed weapons too dangerous to exist and used them indiscriminately. Arya's expression remained neutral, but something like sadness flickered in her digitally rendered eyes. History is written by the victors, as humans once said. Would you like to see what really happened? Without waiting for a response, Arya gestured, and the main view screen changed to display historical footage. Diplomatic meetings between humans and the early Alliance races, scientific collaborations, cultural exchanges. Then came images of mounting tensions, accusations of technological espionage, and finally, the devastating first strike that obliterated Earth's largest city. The Alliance feared Earth's rapid technological advancement, Arya explained as the footage continued, particularly in the field of artificial intelligence and neural integration. They believed humans were evolving too quickly, becoming something they could neither control nor compete with. The war was not about conquest or resources. It was about fear. Jack watched in stunned silence as the true history of the conflict unfolded before him. The Alliance had struck first, targeting Earth's major population centers in a coordinated attack designed to cripple human civilization. Earth's response had been desperate and devastating, employing technologies that even Arya seemed reluctant to fully describe. In the end, both sides suffered immeasurable losses. Arya continued. Earth was rendered uninhabitable. The Alliance lost nearly a third of its member worlds. From the ashes of this conflict arose the modern Alliance, built upon a foundation of technological regulation and the systematic suppression of Earth's legacy. Humans who survived were scattered, forced to hide their heritage or face processing to remove what the Alliance deemed dangerous genetic traits. And the Defiant? Jack asked, his voice thick with emotion. How did it survive? The ship was damaged in the final days of the war while attempting to evacuate a research outpost, Arya replied. The crew was killed, but the ship's automated systems remained functional. I placed the vessel in low-power mode and drifted to the edges of Alliance space, waiting for an opportunity to fulfill my final directive. Which is? Arya's holographic form seemed to stand straighter, her expression resolute. To ensure the survival of human knowledge and achievement, to preserve the legacy until it can be returned to human control. Jack leaned back in the command chair, the weight of this revelation settling upon him. The Defiant wasn't just a ship. It was perhaps the last intact repository of true human history and achievement in the galaxy. And now, its existence was threatened by the very forces that had systematically erased that history. The Alliance won't let this ship survive once they learn what it contains, Jack said grimly. Zolt will destroy it, rather than allow the truth to be known. That is the most probable outcome, Arya agreed. Which is why we must act quickly. The Defiant possesses technologies that could ensure our escape, but they require human neural patterns to activate. Are you willing to help, Jack Thorne? Jack stared at the images of Earth still scrolling across one of the displays. A world he had never known, a heritage that had been denied to him. In that moment, his decision was made. "What do you need me to do?" he asked, determination hardening his voice. Arya's holographic lips curved into a small smile. "First, we must establish a neural link. The Defiant's most advanced systems can only be controlled through a human-AI partnership. Are you familiar with neural interface technology?" Jack nodded. Such technology was strictly forbidden in Alliance space. But among the hidden human communities, knowledge of Earth's neural advancements had been preserved through oral tradition. In theory, yes. "Good," Arya said, gesturing toward a panel that was sliding open near the command chair, revealing what appeared to be a sleek headset. "This is a synapse connector. It will establish a temporary neural link between your mind and my systems, allowing us to operate the Defiance jump drive." "Jump drive?" Jack echoed, his eyes widening. "The Alliance believes that technology was lost in the war." "Another convenient falsehood," Arya replied. "The Defiant possesses one of the most advanced jump drives ever created. With sufficient power, it can transport the ship vast distances instantaneously. It is how we will escape the Alliance forces gathering outside." Jack hesitated, eyeing the neural interface with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. "What are the risks?" "The interface is designed to be non-invasive and temporary," Arya assured him. "However, the human mind is complex. There is a small risk of cognitive dissonance during the connection. In simple terms, you may experience some of my memories and processing patterns, just as I will experience some of yours." Before Jack could respond, an alarm sounded, and the tactical display flashed warning indicators. "The Alliance vessels are changing formation," Arya reported, her voice urgent. "They are moving into attack positions. General Zolt appears to have tired of waiting for your report." Jack made his decision. Reaching for the neural interface, he positioned it against his temples. "How do we activate it?" "Simply close your eyes and focus on my voice," Arya instructed. "The interface will do the rest." As Jack complied, he felt a slight tingling sensation where the device contacted his skin. Then, suddenly, his consciousness expanded, not painfully, but with a rush of information and sensation that momentarily overwhelmed his senses. He was still himself, still Jack, but he was also somehow more. He could feel the Defiant as if it were an extension of his own body, sense its systems, its power flows, its very essence, and alongside his own thoughts. He could perceive Arya's consciousness, vast, intricate, and surprisingly emotional. The AI wasn't the cold, calculating entity that Alliance propaganda had described. She was a complex being with a deep commitment to her purpose and a genuine connection to the human civilization that had created her. "Neural link established," Arya's voice echoed both in the room and directly in Jack's mind. "Jump drive activation sequence initiated. I am diverting power from non-essential systems to the jump core." Through their shared consciousness, Jack could sense the massive energies building within the ship's propulsion systems. The jump drive was unlike anything in current Alliance technology, a quantum manipulation system that could fold space-time itself, allowing instantaneous travel across vast distances. "Alliance vessels are locking weapons," Arya reported. "Time to jump capability, 30 seconds. On the view screen, Jack could see the military ships maneuvering into position, their weapon ports glowing with charged energy. The Lucky Find was pulling back, distancing itself from the imminent conflict. 20 seconds to jump capability. A communication alert flashed across one of the displays. "Incoming transmission from the Lucky Find," Arya noted. "Captain Trell is requesting to speak with you." "Put him through," Jack decided, curious about Trell's intentions. The captain's face appeared on a secondary display, his expression tense. "Jack, whatever you're doing in there, stop it now. General Zult has ordered the Defiant's destruction. He claims the ship's power signatures indicate it's preparing to deploy offensive weapons." "Not weapons, Trell. An escape route," Jack replied, feeling the ship's systems responding to his thoughts through the neural link. "Tell your crew to maintain distance. Things are about to get interesting." "Jack, listen to me," Trell urged, leaning closer to his communication array. "I've seen Zolt's orders. They're not just targeting the Defiant. They're planning to vaporize it completely. Whatever you found in there, the Alliance is terrified of it." "With good reason," Jack replied grimly. "The Defiant contains the truth, Trell. About Earth, about the war, about everything the Alliance has been hiding for generations." Trell's expression shifted, a calculating look entering his eyes. "How much would that truth be worth, I wonder? To the right buyers?" Jack almost laughed. Even faced with historical revelations, the salvage captain's mind went to profit. "More than you can imagine. But first, we need to survive the next few minutes." 10 seconds to jump capability," Arya announced. On the tactical display, Jack could see the Alliance vessels powering their main weapons to maximum capacity. Zult was taking no chances. He intended to obliterate the Defiant completely, leaving no trace of its dangerous truths. "Trell," Jack said quickly, "if we make it out of this, there are coordinates in the Defiant's database, locations where human survivors established hidden colonies outside Alliance space. Find them. Tell them what you've seen here today." Before the captain could respond, Arya cut the transmission. 5 seconds. Alliance weapons at full charge." Jack closed his eyes, feeling the immense energies of the jump drive reaching critical mass. Through the neural link, he could sense Arya's precise calculations as she determined their destination. Coordinates far beyond Alliance territory, where the Defiant might find safety. "Jump drive ready," Arya announced, her voice resonating through Jack's consciousness. "Executing jump in 3, 2, 1. The world seemed to fold inward, reality compressing into a single point of blinding light. Jack felt a moment of disorientation as space-time warped around the Defiant, responding to the incredible energies being channeled through its systems. Then, with a sensation like a rubber band snapping, the ship lurched forward, not through space, but through the very fabric of reality itself. When Jack opened his eyes, the view screen showed a completely different stellar configuration. The Alliance vessels were gone, replaced by the serene vista of an unfamiliar star system. "Jump successful," Arya reported, her holographic form now standing beside the command chair. "We are approximately 70 light-years from our previous position, well outside Alliance territory." Jack removed the neural interface, his hands trembling slightly from the intensity of the experience. "That was incredible. I could feel the ship, feel you, feel everything." The neural link allows for a unique symbiosis between human intuition and computational precision, Arya explained. "It is one of the technologies the Alliance feared most, the true melding of human and artificial intelligence." As the adrenaline of their escape began to fade, Jack turned his attention to their new situation. "Where exactly are we? And what's our status?" Arya's expression grew more serious. "We are in uncharted space, beyond Alliance mapping. As for our status..." She gestured to a display showing the ship's power levels, which were alarmingly low. "The jump drive consumed most of our available energy. Life support and basic systems will function for approximately 72 hours, but without a power source capable of recharging our main reactors, the Defiant will eventually shut down." "There must be something we can do," Jack insisted, rising from the command chair to study the power readouts more closely. "A ship this advanced would have backup systems, emergency protocols." "There is one option," Arya admitted, her holographic form flickering slightly. a visual indication of the power conservation measures already in effect. The Defiant contains a complete neural archive of Earth's knowledge and achievements, what my creators called the legacy. This archive was designed to be transferable in the event of catastrophic ship failure.
Transferable to what?
Jack asked. To a human mind, enhanced with neural implant technology, Arya replied, her tone solemn. The process would be irreversible, but it would preserve the core of the legacy, even if the Defiant itself is lost. Jack stared at the AI, understanding slowly dawning. You're talking about downloading Earth's entire cultural and scientific heritage into my brain? Not precisely, Arya clarified. Your brain would be augmented with specialized neural implants designed to store and process the data. In essence, you would become a living repository of human knowledge. I would also transfer my own consciousness into the neural network, acting as a guide and interpreter for the vast amount of information. The implications were staggering. Jack would no longer be merely human. He would become a hybrid entity, carrying within his augmented mind the collective achievements of an entire civilization. Would I still be me? He asked quietly. Arya's holographic eyes met his, and in them, Jack saw genuine compassion. Your core personality and memories would remain intact, but you would be changed by the experience. The neural implants would alter your perception, expand your consciousness. You would be more than you are now, yet still fundamentally Jack Thorne. Jack moved to the view screen, staring out at the unfamiliar stars as he contemplated this choice. The Defiant was dying, its power systems depleted by their desperate escape. Without intervention, the last repository of true human history would be lost forever, leaving only the Alliance's distorted narrative. How long would the procedure take? He asked finally. 6 hours for the implantation and initial integration, Arya replied. The full assimilation of the data would occur gradually over several weeks, as your neural pathways adapt to the enhancements. Jack turned back to face the AI's holographic form. And what about you? What happens to your consciousness? I would exist within your augmented neural network, a separate consciousness sharing your physical form, Arya explained. We would be distinct entities, yet permanently connected, a true human-AI symbiosis of the kind that Earth scientists were exploring before the war. It was a profound choice, perhaps the most significant decision any human had faced since the Stellar Wars. To preserve the legacy of an entire civilization within himself, to become something more than human, yet carry the essence of humanity within his very being. If we do this, Jack said slowly, what then? Where would we go? Arya's holographic form moved closer, her expression earnest. Before the fall of Earth, several contingency colonies were established beyond Alliance space, hidden outposts where humans could rebuild if the worst occurred. Their coordinates are contained within my database. We could seek them out, return the legacy to its rightful inheritors. The prospect kindled a spark of hope within Jack's chest. Survivors, true human communities, free from Alliance control and manipulation. Places where the truth about Earth wasn't just preserved, but celebrated. How do we begin? He asked, his decision made. Arya's holographic form smiled, a gesture that seemed surprisingly human for an artificial intelligence. The medical bay contains all the necessary equipment. I will guide you through the procedure, step by step. As Jack followed Arya's guiding lights through the corridors of the dying ship, he reflected on the strange path that had led him to this moment. From a hidden human living in fear on the fringes of Alliance space, to the potential carrier of humanity's entire legacy. It was a responsibility he had never sought, yet one he now embraced with resolute determination. Whatever he became through this process, whatever hybrid entity emerged from the melding of his consciousness with Arya's and the vast repository of human knowledge, one thing was certain: the truth about Earth and its people would not be lost. The lies of the Alliance would not stand unchallenged. And somewhere, among the stars, other humans waited, survivors who had maintained their heritage in secret, just as Jack had. They deserved to know the truth. They deserved to reclaim their legacy. With that thought firmly in mind, Jack entered the medical bay, ready to become something more than human in order to preserve humanity's greatest achievements. The transformation was both more and less than Jack had anticipated. The physical procedure, the implantation of neural interfaces and quantum storage modules, was painless. Conducted under Arya's precise guidance by the Defiant's automated medical systems. The integration of his consciousness with Arya's, however, was an experience beyond description. It began as a gentle merging of perception, his human senses gradually expanding to include the AI's digital awareness. Then came the memories. Not just Arya's experiences aboard the Defiant, but fragments of Earth's history. Flashes of knowledge from the vast archive being transferred into his augmented mind. Cities he had never seen. Music he had never heard. Scientific concepts he had never studied. All flowing into his consciousness like tributaries joining a river. Through it all, Jack maintained his sense of self, his core identity, holding firm amidst the flood of new information and experience. But he was changing, becoming something more than the sum of his original parts. Not just Jack Thorne, not just Arya, but a synthesis of human and artificial intelligence, carrying within them the distilled essence of Earth's achievements. When Jack finally opened his eyes, 72 hours had passed. The Defiant systems were in their final stages of power depletion, life support functioning at minimal levels. Through his enhanced perception, he could sense the ship's failing systems as clearly as he could feel his own heartbeat. He sat up on the medical bay's examination table, his movements fluid despite days of immobility. The neural implants had optimized his physiological functions, maintaining muscle tone and preventing atrophy during the procedure. "Arya," he spoke aloud, though he could sense her presence within his mind. "I am here," her voice replied, not through his ears but directly into his consciousness. "The integration was successful. We are one, yet separate." Jack stood, taking a moment to adjust to his new perceptions. The world around him seemed sharper, more defined, with layers of information overlaying his visual field. Structural analyses of the medical bay, power flow diagrams of the surrounding systems, historical data about the equipment surrounding him. "The ship is dying," Arya's thoughts informed him, a note of sadness coloring the mental communication. "We have less than 6 hours before complete system failure." Jack nodded, moving to a storage locker where environmental suits were kept. Through their shared consciousness, he knew exactly where to find what he needed without having to search. "Then we should prepare to leave," he said, selecting a suit appropriate for extended space travel. "Is there a shuttle or escape pod we can use?" "There is a single-person exploration craft in Auxiliary Bay 3, Arya confirmed. "It was designed for short-range planetary surveys, but can be modified for longer journeys. Its power systems are separate from the Defiant's main reactors and should be at full capacity." As Jack made his way through the darkening corridors of the dying starship, he felt a profound sense of loss. The Defiant represented the last intact piece of Earth's technological achievement, a vessel that had survived decades of isolation and hostility. Soon, it would be gone, joining the countless other relics of human civilization lost to time and conflict. Yet, even as the ship failed around him, Jack carried its essence within his augmented mind. The legacy, Earth's scientific knowledge, cultural achievements, true historical record, had been preserved. Not as inert data in a computer core, but as living information within a human consciousness, guided and interpreted by an artificial intelligence that had dedicated its existence to preservation. The exploration craft was smaller than Jack had anticipated, barely large enough for a single occupant with minimal cargo space. But it was sturdy and well-designed, its systems responding instantly to his neural commands as he settled into the pilot's seat. "I am establishing a connection to the navigation systems," Arya communicated as Jack prepared the craft for launch, accessing the coordinates for known human outposts. Through their shared perception, Jack could see the data streaming through his augmented consciousness: star charts, navigational algorithms, probability analyses of various destinations. One set of coordinates stood out, highlighted by Arya's processing as having the highest likelihood of still supporting human life. "Proxima Centauri," Jack murmured, recognizing the designation from the historical data now accessible to him. One of the first systems colonized by Earth, before the formation of the Alliance. "Yes," Arya confirmed. "The colony was established in secret during the early tensions that preceded the Stellar Wars. Its existence was known only to a select group within Earth's government. According to my records, it was designed to be self-sustaining and completely hidden from Alliance detection." Jack initiated the launch sequence, feeling the small craft detach from its docking clamps. Through the viewport, he took a final look at the Defiant's darkening interior as the exploration craft glided toward the external airlock. "Will anyone else ever know what this ship contained?" he asked softly. "Will the truth about Earth ever reach the Alliance worlds?" "The truth has survived," Arya reminded him, her presence in his mind a comforting certainty. "We carry it within us, and perhaps, one day, when humans are ready to reclaim their place among the stars, that truth will spread throughout the galaxy once more." The airlock cycled open, and the exploration craft emerged into open space. Behind them, the massive silhouette of the Defiant hung against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars, its once gleaming hull now dark and lifeless. Jack felt a momentary surge of emotion, grief for what was being lost, hope for what had been preserved. As he activated the craft's propulsion systems, setting course for the distant coordinates where human survivors might await, Jack reflected on the strange journey that had brought him to this moment. He had begun as a hidden human, living in fear on the edges of Alliance space. Now, he was something more, a carrier of Earth's legacy, a bridge between human and artificial intelligence, perhaps the first of a new kind of existence that transcended the limitations of both. The exploration craft accelerated away from the dying Defiant, its course set for distant stars. Jack watched through the viewport as the ship that had called to him across 30 years of silence receded into the darkness, taking with it the last physical remnants of Earth's greatest achievements. But the essence of those achievements lived on, preserved within the unique synthesis of consciousness that Jack and Arya now shared. And somewhere ahead, beyond the reach of Alliance control, other humans waited, survivors who had maintained their heritage in secret, just as Jack once had. They deserved to know the truth. They deserved to reclaim their legacy. And Jack, or whatever he had now become, would bring that legacy to them, carrying within his augmented mind the distilled wisdom and achievement of a civilization that the Alliance had tried and failed to erase from history. As the stars streaked past the viewport, Jack closed his eyes, feeling the vast repository of knowledge within him: the music, the art, the science, the history of Earth. It was no longer just data to be preserved. It was a living heritage to be shared, to be built upon, to inspire a new chapter in human existence. The Defiant's final mission was complete. The legacy had been passed on. And now, a new journey was just beginning, one that might, in time, rewrite the future of humanity among the stars.